Everybody, welcome back to Make It with Podge. My name's Cathie and today we're going to be creating some really pretty map pendants. These are so fun for showing off your state pride, your hometown pride. You can use lots of different materials for this. You can use scrapbook paper that is map themed if you want sort of a world look. I found this road atlas at a free yard sale the other day. Everything was free and I saw this maps. I said, you know what, let's make some map pendants. I love all these old map papers. You can see I've already gone in and selected some of the different cities that I wanted to feature. So let's take a look at some of the designs. We've got Glendale, which is where I am live from right now. Glendale, Atlanta for our people in back at Plaid in Atlanta, Georgia. So you can do these different pendants in different shapes. All of these pendant blanks are available at all of the different craft stores and all of your different online jewelry retailers. Just look for, sometimes they're called blanks or pendant wells or bezels. They usually come in silver, gold, bronzes, even colored ones, all different kinds. So I chose these silver ones. I strung them up with ball chain, but you can do whatever you want. And if maps aren't your thing, you can do this with any paper that you want. So let's just dive right in. I'm going to show you today's example on this 1-inch circle pendant blank. Okay, they're usually flat on the back and then they have that well there. To create these, we're going to use Mod Podge satin and Dimensional Magic. Dimensional Magic is kind of like a faux resin, so it's going to create that really cool, thick, glassy finish. Let's just look at this Glendale one. So hopefully you can see that glassy finish there. That is all of the Dimensional Magic. So the first thing that you're going to do is cut out your paper. For these, I love to use punches. I've collected these over the years. I've got a large circle punch, an oval punch, which is not as easy to find, but is great for doing these oval pieces. I'll pull one of those over. So that I did not cut that paper. I just used the oval punch. And then this circle punch is a 1-inch circle punch. And that sure does make your life easier. For those square shapes, I usually make a small template of the square, like here on this one here, or the Atlanta one. And that's just a cutting guide so that you can cut your paper to size. And this I just cut from the back of the packaging. So to attach our paper, well, first of all, let's just punch one out. I'll show you how the punch works. So let's just go ahead. Okay, so you can see I'm gonna do Fort Smith there. Now for this, sometimes you have to go in and just sort of tear away or cut away a little bit to give yourself a little bit more room. And you can go in and punch it just like so. Whoop, and get it out of there. And now you have a perfectly cut circle ready to go, okay? So let's go ahead and show you how you attach that down using our Mod Podge satin. So I like to use satin or matte for this project because the Dimensional Magic does have a lot of gloss to it. So I like to keep the image flat or sort of as satin as possible to begin with. So we're just going to use a small paintbrush and I'm going to add a small amount of the Mod Podge satin to the base of the pendant well. So that's just going on the floor. If you get a little bit on the sides, it's no big deal. Just it'll dry clear. Just add a little bit there. And let's go ahead and turn over one of our circles. We're going to do Burlington today because some friends of mine moved to Burlington not too long ago. So I said, you know what, let's make one for them. Kind of pick that up. And then this is the trickiest part. You just want to make sure you get it lined up so that it lines up with that bail. That's where you're going to string it through. And then you'll just go in, kind of push it down. You can let your paintbrush, as you can see, it's sort of wiggling. So wiggle it into position. There we go. And now I'm just going to top coat that. Grab a little bit more of our Mod Podge and give that a top coat. You want your brush strokes to be as smooth as possible. So if you have extra bulk, just go ahead and kind of pick it up and get rid of it because you don't want a lot of extra bulk in there for where we're going to put the Dimensional Magic on there. So now at this point, you're going to set this aside and let it dry. I like to let it dry like 5 hours. Normally it's dry to the touch in about a half hour, but before I put the Dimensional Magic on it, I want it to be really, really dry. Otherwise, you might get a crack in your Dimensional Magic, or it might not cure exactly perfect. So in order for it to cure really, really well, you want that Mod Podge to be super dry. So set it aside and let it dry for about 5 hours. Overnight is even great. If you're doing these, you can do all of your wells in one day, let them dry overnight, and then do your Dimensional Magic the next day. So here's a little tip. I've got one here that's been drying. This dried overnight. I've got Tacoma there, and these are dried beans, and I like to put my pendants, you guys have probably seen me do something like this before, in a pile of dried beans or something like that, some sand or something to let it balance. Because the bale has a little bit of a lip or a bump there on the back, if I were to do it here flat, my Dimensional Magic would sort of slide down the pendant and it wouldn't be level. So you want to get your pendant level before you put your Dimensional Magic on there. And honestly, the easiest way is just some dried beans. You can wiggle it in and really get that level. You don't need to use a level, just eyeball it. Now for the Dimensional Magic, you want to just kind of give it a quick little turn. You don't want to shake it up aggressively because you don't want to add any air bubbles. And you'll go ahead. I like to give it a little start on a piece of wax paper like this first. Just kind of get it going, make sure it's there. Now we're gonna go in, you know what guys, I'm gonna put my glasses on because this is the hard part. I'm joking, this is super easy. There's nothing hard about this. Go ahead and get that primed up and started. If you get an air bubble, don't worry. We're gonna pop it. Okay, we're gonna go right around the edge. I'm barely squeezing the bottle and just going right around that edge. You can see it'll just sort of hug and attach to the edge. Just go around just like so. And then we go and fill in the center, just like that. And it looks foggy right now, but it's gonna dry perfectly clear. Now I have a toothpick here. You wanna keep a sewing pin or a toothpick on hand and take a look at your design. Double check it. I don't see any air bubbles, okay? If you did have an air bubble, you would just go in and pop it, okay? Now, I also like to look give it like a half hour to let it rest and check it again because sometimes an air bubble might appear like a half hour later. And if that happens, just grab a sewing pin or a toothpick and go ahead and pop it. Now for this, you're gonna let this sit undisturbed overnight. And I like to do it and not like next to a fan or a real drafty area. You wouldn't want to put it like underneath a heating vent or something like that. Just let it dry. Try not to disturb it. And once it's dry, it'll look like this. Let's grab over Oklahoma City. That's where I was born. So I made an Oklahoma City one. So once it's dry, you get that really cool glassy finish. Now this is not resin. So you're not mixing anything, it's non-toxic. You're gonna create this really cool look. If you make a mistake, you can soak this off and start over. So these are not gonna be resin, like with resin, you could go in a shower or something like that. So you're not gonna wanna shower with this, but you've got no mix. Look how quickly and easily you can create these really fun pendants. This is a great slumber party craft for kids, teens, tweens, and grown-ups like me. All right, guys, I'll see you next week. I'll be back here on Facebook on Thursdays and Saturdays at YouTube with some more fun Mod Podge projects. Have a great weekend.